not a turf, but I do believe in their beliefs. This site is genuinely breathtaking sometimes. I'm not Count Olaf said. I don't understand why people don't instantly respond to what would your dream superpower be with the ability to manipulate probability. Think about it. What's the chance someone will drop 1 million in front of me? 0%? Let's make that 100%. What's the probability I'll wake up tomorrow and be X gender? 100%. What's the probability my bathtub is filled with mac and cheese? 100%. As a casino employee, I can confirm this would be terrifying as F. I've been laughing for 3 years over the fact that in ye old England, you could choose to have trial by cake, in which you ate a piece of cake, and if you choked, you were guilty, and if you didn't, you were innocent, and the only time it was used, the guy on trial fking choked, and was executed for it. Link must be downright terrifying for normal people in Hyrule to encounter. He's like a fking heroic cryptid. Just imagine it, your village, region, kingdom is under attack by some monster or another, and out of the trees this slender little twunk appears, and immediately starts acting like he's gonna help. And you're skeptical of course, cause look at him. And then you find out that he's basically a one-man army who just fking wrecks the dragon, got monsters, etc, terrorizing your place before he breaks all of the pots in town and disappears again. Which must be wild. Your village has a statue of Link that's built between his reincarnations, and people put clay pots around it as offerings and thanks. One day some fking kid shows up, breaks all your worship pots, and runs off without anything more than a YAAH. As they jump off a cliff into the forest below, you're confused as F, but your great grandmother is weeping, like she just saw a god. It's like if you met Jesus, and he was a gremlin. Cheese is just a loaf of milk. She's right, and I'm scared. This implies a liquid form of bread. F. Anyone else grow up and realize that your excessive reading as a child was actually just a coping mechanism for your incredibly shitty childhood, and you stopped reading as much as soon as you escaped or found other things to fill the void? Yes, reading excessively as a child for a lot of us was a form of escapism. But part of the reason so many of us struggle to read now is because we based our entire taste in reading on what helped us escape. But as we get older and our needs changed, a lot of us never adapted our reading tastes. So we keep trying to read YA fiction, and it just doesn't hit the way it used to, and we assume it's because we can't read like we used to. But the reality is that we need a new genre of literature to suit our new life experiences and mature taste. I feel very seen right now. My strangest legacy. In high school, for one reason or another, I can't remember, my friends and I wrote 34 days until March 2nd on the whiteboard in the drama classroom. It was completely arbitrary, but we kept it up. 30 days until March 2nd, 23 days until March 2nd, etc. It spread around enough that the entire school is buzzing about what is going to happen on March 2nd. We figure we should think of something and decide to bring in cake. There were about 13 of us in total, committed to bringing a cake. On March 2nd, during third period lunch, we all entered the cafeteria in a line, the parade of the cakes, and laid them out. A grand cake buffet for everyone in that lunch period. We did it the next year, and after we graduated, it kept going. This past March 2nd was the 9th year they've done it. It's become a school sponsored event. There are t-shirts for this thing every year. March 2nd is cake day. I'm a god. Polls show that 34% of Americans will vote for. What polls? Homst is being polled? I have never once in my life been polled. What is the sample size? What is the sample demographic? Is it really 34% of Americans, or is it 34% of Americans who answer random numbers on their landline? Poll this PP. As a statistician, these are exactly the questions you should ask when interpreting a poll. In fact, you shouldn't have to ask. A data scientist doing their job will provide that information up front. How the random sample was taken, who was polled, and what demographics were potentially left out of the poll. If that information isn't there, don't trust it. Unpopular opinion. Being intelligent isn't an excuse for being unkind. Pretentious hole is out. Pretentious sweetheart is in. Wearing dapper clothes and holding the door open for others makes you feel cool as H. Glance up from your hefty books to give a stranger a smile. Quote literature to inspire others. Be presumptuous in the way that you presume that everyone needs their day to be a little brighter. Straight boys. Why are all the hot girls lesbians? Lesbians. Why are all the hot girls straight? Straight girls. Why are all the hot guys gay? Gay guys. Why are all the hot guys straight? Bisexual people. Why are all the hot people taken? Pansexual people. Everyone is hot. What do I do? Asexual people. What? If you ever look up to me, you're wrong. This isn't cause I'm short. I'm not short. This is cause today I was at the beach and I forgot what sand smelled like, so I decided to stick my nose into the sand and snort, and it went absolutely not excellent. I was playing around with my camera and I took this and I can't stop laughing. Weird questions. If I'm somewhere where there are educational personnel, museum docents, Q and A keepers, park rangers, public school teachers, professors etc., I have a question I like to ask them. What's the weirdest question someone's ever asked you? I say weird and not dumb because even buck-wild questions can have important answers, but whoever I ask it to usually answers, but whoever I ask it to usually has to think about it for a bit, then comes out with something different every time. And I love every single answer because it just warms my heart out there to know people are trying to understand the world a bit better, no matter how limited by a starting point. A collection of favorites so far. Art museum host. A man once asked me, can you help me find someone? And if you can't, can you find someone who can? Which I always thought would be a great title for an artwork. Park ranger. I'm so glad a Japanese couple asked me, is bear spray like mosquito spray and it goes on the jacket or on the bear instead of just trying it? Zookeeper. A man once pointed at the live red-tailed hawk I had out for a demo and asked me, aren't those extinct? We eventually figured out he meant endangered, but I hear that question every time I see a red tail now. Primary school teacher. About every other year, a student asks me what part of the school I sleep in at night, because clearly I live here. I tell them I sleep under the bleachers in the gym, but it's actually the nurse's office. Professor. A student asked me, so, how do I use this in a conversation when my aunt is wine drunk at Thanksgiving and being a jerk again? Which, honestly, is a fair question about philosophy and really changed how I teach rhetoric. Natural history docent. A woman once asked me what the difference between a million and a billion was. Kinda pieced together that she'd just left her church for her safety and was learning about Earth's natural history for the first time. Nobody else was there because it had been snowing. So I walked her through the whole of time and answered as many questions as I could. She was bewildered, but really trying. It always struck me as a really brave thing to try to understand all of that while fresh out of a dangerous situation. I hope it helped. Forensic scientist. People ask me how to commit murder all the time, but if you really hate someone, stealing their identity causes much more suffering and is a lot harder to get caught at. A guy did ask me if working at a body farm was creepy and did not like that it was okay until you learned that decayed human fingers are a deer's favorite midwinter snack. Zookeeper. People call us because they think they found an escaped animal all the time, or they think their neighbor's husky is a wolf. One guy asked me if his dog was part hyena because it had spots. But that one guy really did have a tiger in his tool shed that one time, so we try to take them seriously. Meteorologist. A guy once emailed me about how hard you'd have to fan a tornado to make it start spinning in the other direction, and included a picture of him holding up a box fan at an approaching tornado. We printed it out for the work fridge. Park ranger. I was giving a talk on the Yellowstone supervolcano, and a guy asked if, after it erupted, the earth would be hollowed out. I suppose I was just relieved that he understand that the earth isn't flat. Primacy school teacher. A student once asked me where she could sell her bones online so she could buy a dog. Which? Same. Natural history docent. A guy asked us, backquote, if I had a time machine and managed to kill and cook a T-Rex, what would it have tasted like? And every paleontologist on staff desist to take him seriously. They did research to learn about fat distribution and read up on culinary science to learn what flavors meat, even did chemical analysis on the bones. They concluded that it'd be tough. No evidence of juicy fat pockets. Bitter. Carnivores tend to taste foul and would probably kill him because heavy metals travel up the food chain, and T-Rex accumulated a lot of the cadmium that was in the dirt in the late Cretaceous. Wrote him a letter with our findings, and he sent us back a drawing of him and his buddies cooking a T-Rex over a fire, and all of them throwing up and dying, and it's my favorite drawing in the whole world. My dad just told me that when he was my age, he tripped on acid a lot, and every time he tripped, he found the meaning of life, but by the time he was sober, he had forgotten it. So, he told himself that the next time he tripped, he would write it down. So he tripped again, and went and wrote it down, and when he woke up, he was so excited to see everything that he wrote, so he went and opened the notebook, and all it said was orange juice. I don't think we acknowledge enough that when children want to be treated like adults, what they really mean is like people. This is just my own observations, of course, but 90% of the time, when a kid tries to get people to treat them like an adult, what they really want is the respect and acknowledgement that they associate with adulthood, because that's what they must give the adults. They have to give that to the adults in their lives, but the adults never give that same respect back, and so they see that difference and decide that they want to be treated like an adult. And sometimes I see parents who are like, fine, you want to be treated like an adult, then you can work and pay rent, but that's the exact opposite of what the kid is actually asking for. You're just belittling them, clearly intending to punish them for daring. Ask for your respect, clearly intending for them to break down and beg to be treated like a child again, because you purposefully twisted their wants. They ask for respect, and you give them abuse. Never ever, ever, treat a child like a full-grown adult. It's our responsibility as adults not to, because they aren't adults, no matter how much they think they want to be, and it's our job as adults to take care of them. That said, always treat children like people, because they are that. They're real people with real agency, acting as best as they know to with what knowledge they have. It's not a matter of kids trying to grow up too fast. It's a matter of kids wanting to be treated like people instead of objects or pets. How the F did all of those Renaissance dilettantes learn so much crap? Like, they spoke 3 languages and were foremost in several branches of science, plus they wrote poetry, played the violin, and were master artists, and they still had time to be gay? None of them ever did any laundry at all. The emotional and physical labor necessary to maintain the lifestyles of Renaissance and Enlightenment polymaths was shunted almost entirely to their uncredited servants, slaves, wives, and daughters. Whenever we compare ourselves to the genius men of the past and wonder why we fall so short, remember this: their intellectual capacity, energy, and freedom was because there was someone else washing the damn dishes.